will go into item number 5, Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Park, would you lead us?
Please stand. We have many flags today. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's great. Thank you for the pledge, Trustee Park. And before we proceed, I want to request that everyone at this indoor school board meeting wear a mask. The California Department of Public Health on September 1st, 2021 issued a mask requirement for indoor settings from K to 12 schools. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health on August 23rd, 2021 issued a public health order requiring masks indoors in K to 12 schools. Not only are we indoors, we're also on school property, and we plan to comply with the law. Wearing masks are not required of everyone. No, I'm sorry. Wearing masks are required of everyone, regardless of a person's vaccination status. We all have had plenty of notice of these orders. We cannot ignore the public health rules set by the state of California and the Los Angeles County. I intend to complete our agenda item, including the recognition of our employees of the year, until we finish staff presentation and information. If people at this board meeting violate the public health rules after those agenda items are completed, then under the government code and the Brown Act, I am authorized to recess this board meeting and reconvene the school meeting at another location without an in-person audience, with only the board, cabinet, and members of the press present. So now we're now moving on to item number 6, adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Item 7, there's no report of closed session items. And the fun part, item number 8, recognition, employees of the year for 2020 to 2021. My fellow board members will take turn in reading the bio for our wonderful employees. And as he or she calls your name, please come up on stage from the stage right. Stage right. From this side, and then come towards the middle for a photo to be taken.
So I get to be the lucky person to start this off. Again, we are so glad that we're able to do this today to celebrate all of these wonderful people who made such a significant contribution to our district, indeed. And so the very first person I'd like to call today is Laura Jane Bushell, who is an elementary teacher at Towers Elementary School. Mrs. Laura Jane Bushell began teaching at Towers Elementary School in 1996. In the past 25 years, she has been a dynamic teacher and leader on campus and in the Towers community. At Towers, she has been the second grade lead teacher, a member of the school safety team, a Lighthouse teacher mentor, and the literacy chair since 2014. As the Towers Torrance Education Foundation ambassador, she facilitates community involvement in fundraisers for Skechers Walk and the Lexus raffle. Promoting literacy is Laura Jane's passion. She has secured over $5,000 to purchase books for our guided reader program. She's an exemplary teacher in reading and writing and works hard to foster the love of reading for our students. Laura Jane is an inspiration to the Towers staff and community and is a great role model for us. Mrs. Bushell was chosen to represent Torrance Unified School District at the Los Angeles County of Education Teacher of the Year competition. Congratulations, Laura Jane Bushell, Elementary Certificated Employee of the Year. Next, it gives me great privilege to introduce our next recipient, Gail Davies, middle school teacher at Recruiter Middle School. Gail Davies started teaching in Torrance Unified School District in 1986. It was part of the Magruder Middle School team for over 3 decades. Throughout her career, she has been passionate about making science relatable and fun. That's awesome. Gail integrated her love of science with her passion for teaching. To expand her students' experiences, Gail will go scuba diving and snorkeling to bring marine life specimens for students to observe, then ultimately return them safely to their ocean habitats once they concluded their observation. I thought they're going to be eaten, but I guess not. Gail works tirelessly to make sure that all students had equal access to the curriculum, making several scaffolded versions of each lab, study guide, and assessment. The thing that most students will remember over the years was the frog dissections that she facilitated for over 30 years. Over the years, she has been a tremendous advocate for females in science and wrote an endless amount of recommendations for the Tech Truck program that sends girls for a week-long hands-on STEM camp. Congratulations, Gail Davies, Middle School Certificated Employee of the Year. It gives me the great privilege to introduce Ann Cortina, high school teacher, West High School. Ann Cortina began her science teaching career with Torrance Unified as a second career in 2001. For 20 years, Ann has positively impacted students by instilling curiosity, questioning, and discovery of scientific phenomena in thought-provoking, authentic science lessons. She has played a significant role in the development of an outstanding NGSS-aligned curriculum for biology, AP biology, and biotech courses. In addition, Ann Cortina's 2006 to 2021 legacy as the head academic decathlon coach delivered numerous achievements and accolades, including a first-place LA County finish in 2019. Woohoo! Ann's commitment to West High goes beyond the classroom. Her dedication to the community and love for the environment led her to design and establish an ocean-friendly native garden with the support of community partnerships on the West High campus, which adds a touch of natural beauty while also serving as a tranquil spot for students and faculty enjoy throughout the day. Congratulations, Ann Cortina, High School Certificated Employee of the Year.
It is my great honor to introduce Jeffrey Bowyer, Adult Education ESL teacher for Hamilton Adult Center. Jeffrey Bowyer began working for Torrance Adult School, TAS, in 2016 and has been a highly valued member of the team since that time. Jeffrey's teaching experience has extended from the corporate world to post-secondary education and demonstrates excellent curricular and leadership competencies. His intellectual acumen, collaborative leadership, and passion for continuous improvement has strengthened the English as a second language ESL program at Torrance Adult School, as well as connections within the community. Jeffrey excels in teaching ESL to students of all levels in a face-to-face and/or online classroom environment. His contribution of teaching computer applications, as well as providing language support to ESL students, helps to accelerate learning and leads adult school students to complete post-secondary goals in higher education. Jeffrey's congenial demeanor and effectiveness in the classroom, as well as excellent rapport and integrity with staff and students, makes him a worthy recipient for Torrance Adult School Certificate Employee of the Year. Congratulations. So honored to introduce Christina Killeen, a resource teacher for curriculum and instruction. Christy Killeen has worked in TUSD for over 20 years. The care and concern she has for educators, students, and families is exceptional, matching her expertise in all aspects related to language arts and literacy. As an English language arts resource teacher, Christy is well-read, informed, trained, and practiced in the language arts. She is artful at synthesizing learning to develop effective and meaningful teacher workshops and professional development, in addition to parent education nights. Christy's commitment to instructional excellence came shining through the midst of this past pandemic year. Christy and her colleagues not only built a distance learning platform, they built one for every one of the elementary grade levels, TK through 5th, for every week all year long. Each grade level platform included a weekly learning education and experience, which included ELA, math, science, social studies, universal concepts, music and art, and connectedness, and wellness. Congratulations, Christy Colleen, for District Office Certificate Employee of the Year.
Now we move on to classified employees. Our first honoree from elementary schools is Anna Lemus, Nutrition Services Assistant, Fern Elementary School. Anna Lemus has worked in nutrition services with Torrance Unified School District for over 30 years, with titles of Nutrition Services Assistant 1, Nutrition Services Assistant 2. She enjoys her job of making sure every child is fed and has demonstrated leadership skills in working with her team members and is fantastic at multitasking and coordinating food service duties. Anna has great knowledge of the responsibilities of the Nutrition Services Department and goes above and beyond to get the job done. While Anna has been at Fern Elementary School for many years, she often times will fill in at other school sites, and her coworkers say that they look forward to working with her as she is such a great addition to their team. We are proud to have Anna on our team TUSD and are happy that she has received this recognition as Elementary Classified Employee of the Year. At the middle school level, we have Emmanuel Placencia, Library Media Tech, Bertlin Middle School. Emmanuel Placencia received this recognition for his role as Library and Media Technician at Bertlin Middle School. As a graduate of Torrance Schools, Emmanuel credits his time as a student at North High School for his love of books. This love of books took him down the path of learning. After graduating with a degree in philosophy from California State University, Long Beach, Emmanuel took jobs at various libraries to be around the books that he adores. Eventually, he found himself back at home in TUSD in 2018. At Bertlin, he reorganized the school library, including updating the very outdated checkout system and also serving as the webmaster for the school website. In addition, Manny, or Mr. P as they call him, has gone above and beyond to make books and tech available to students, whether in person or online. Emmanuel's passion for books inspired many by creating a warm and inviting place for students to discover the magic of books. Congratulations, Emmanuel Placencia, Middle School Classified Employee of the Year. The high school, we have Teresa Giroux, School Staff Assistant, West High School. Mrs. Giroux has been with Torrance Unified School District since 1996. A longtime Torrance resident and North High graduate, she earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration from California State University, Long Beach, and started working for TUSD as a substitute teacher. She was hired to work in the Torrance High School attendance office in 2011 in a part-time position. She moved to the West High attendance office in a full-time position in 2012, and then to her current position as School Staff Assistant 1 in the Curriculum Office at West High in 2015. Not only is Teresa an expert in prioritizing and meeting deadlines, but she also works vigorously to ensure eligible students apply and receive their seal of biliteracy every year. Teresa consistently shows her dedication by boosting employee morale and participating in staff appreciation. Congratulations, Teresa Giroux, High School Classified Employee of the Year.
Next, moving on to the adult school, Baron Sia, Education Specialist, Levy Adult School. Baron Sia is a highly valued adult education specialist at Torrance Adult School. He began at TAS in the fall 2017 and has served in several increasingly more responsible roles. Baron is always resourceful and supportive. He has advised high school diploma and English as a second language, adult students in transitioning to post-secondary education and workforce training. He charted program and career pathways to help students understand the transition process to higher education. As a result, students and staff now have a guide to refer to when considering their career goals. Through this role, he was successfully able to transition students to El Camino College and LA Harbor College. Due to Barron's ability to work with many students and collaborate with many different departments, Barron moved to the role of Adult Education Specialist in January 2020. Barron has shown an ability to work through any situation and a commitment to adult education. We are very proud of all his accomplishments and are happy to congratulate him as Adult Education Classified Employee of the Year. Aaron Chow, Human Resources Specialist, District Office. Aaron is a Human Resources Specialist in the Office of Human Resources and has served TUSD in this capacity since February of 2015. During this time, she has consistently sought to do the best job she can in all areas, whether it's implementing or improving department processes, training a new colleague, or working with an employee on a complex situation. Erin is constant professional who continuously strives to improve her own performance and the systems in place around her. Over the past year, she has worked hard to maintain consistency during not only working remotely at times, but also through change in the department. Erin was instrumental in setting up the workflow of a system to digitize the district's onboarding process. Erin is thoughtful and through in her work, and her team appreciates all that she does for the employees of TUSD. We're very proud to have Erin represent the district office as Classified Employee of the Year.
Congratulations again to all our employees of the year. Thank you very much for your public service. And thank you all for coming to support our employees of the year, family and friends. I'm sure it means a lot for them, and it means a lot for us too to see you here with the support. Right now, we are going to go ahead and continue on our presentations, but feel free to leave if you need to leave. We're not going to hold you hostage here if you want, but also feel free to stay. Just want to make sure you know that we won't be offended if you leave.
No one's turning back.
All right, moving on to number 9, staff presentation and information. We have 9.1, report by our student representative and recognition. And I want to point out that earlier, before the meeting, we gave Ms. Cotero a certificate of appreciation for her presence and report here for the last few board meetings. Dr. Egan, can you introduce her?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Ms. Liu. Good evening, members of the board. It's my privilege and honor to introduce our student representative, ASB president from North High School, Ms. Kaya Kotera. And I also want to thank her for her service in this position for this quarter and recognize the fact that I believe she's set a new very high bar for those classmates that follow her. So Kaya, take it away.
Thank you, Board. Good evening, everyone. It's been an amazing experience acting as a student body representative. I'm happy to report that all 4 TUSD high schools hosted amazing homecomings, each one housing record-breaking attendance. Albeit there were some complications initially getting in, however, most students had an amazing experience and agreed their expectations were exceeded. We've yet to hear any negative commentary or experiences regarding homecoming, but overall, the students collectively agree it was a memorable night. As for North, we're moving forward to our blood drive in collaboration with UCLA. We hope to meet our goal of 80 pints of blood and are looking forward to active participation once again. Lastly, all student body councils are excited for this ASB mixer this Wednesday and are looking forward to the social aspect and meeting other council members. Overall, increased participation in virtually everything seems to be the common theme of student experiences. That concludes my board. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotero. We will miss you, but best of luck in your academic career and at North High School. Item number 9.2, report from Torrance Council of PTAs.
Mrs. Liu, the PTA president, Ms. Reagans, had to leave, so she'll be doing a report in November. But she was here with the Red Ribbon coordinator and wanted to make sure that that got stated publicly, that Red Ribbon Week is coming up. And so we hope that all the schools and all the community recognize that as a very important time to continue to have the conversations about students and saying no to drugs and alcohol.
Great, thank you very much, Superintendent Stowe. Then we will go ahead and move on to 9.3, Superintendent's report.
Thank you again, Madam President and board members. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to just give a brief update on some things that are happening in our schools. Last week, I continued my school visit. I had 6. I had 6 additional school visits and for an extended period of time and was able to continue to just see the great work out there. So I just want to thank the community, the parents, the students, of course, classified certificate administrators, all of our staff that just have done such a great job in making the school year start so smoothly. Want to thank the board for your commitment to continuing outstanding communications with the community. The State of Our Schools mailer, not sure if you got it yet, but it landed in mailboxes this weekend. Inside is all kinds of information about our district, and clearly it is a tool that we can communicate with the entire community, especially those 80% of the people that don't have kids in school and or connection to TUSD. We have a couple folks in here that were quoted, and Kayana Kotero is one of those. She's got a quote in here, as does our Teacher of the Year, Laura Jane Bushell. So this is it's also posted on all of our school and district websites, and hopefully that you hear some buzz in the community about this, because I've already heard from some parents on Sunday that I saw that received it and thought it was a great tool to communicate the great things that are happening. The Skechers Walk is coming up this Sunday. We have, I think, 5 schools in the top 10 in the South Bay, of all the South Bay that are top 10 in the fundraising. Towers was number 1 on the list just as of a couple days ago. I'm not sure if they're still there, but I know Towers and Arlington and Hickory and Madrona, and I forget the 5th one, but those 4 schools were for sure were in the top 6 of all schools in the South Bay. So that's pretty exciting. We're hoping that we continue to put the pressure on our local districts, and all that money, remember, comes back to us basically dollar for dollar. So if you want to walk virtually, that is a great way to support your local schools as well through the Skechers Walk. The Torrance High School softball field continues to be under construction. There are mounds of dirt just east of or just west of this building. I visited the teachers in the annex building a couple days ago, and just want to thank them for putting up with some dirt and noise, but it's going to be well worth it. Their view is going to improve immensely at the conclusion of the project. Dr. Butler continues to meet with the Budget Advisory Committee, and I know Ms. Park and Dr. Muhammad are on that, and just want to thank them as well as all of the different stakeholders that are part of that, looking at some things as far as our budget and what that is going to look like in the coming future. So it's an important piece of our communication as well around the finance piece of schools. And then finally, we have our Independent Citizens Oversight Committee. This is the group of citizens that is charged with overseeing all of our bond expenditures. They continue to meet even though our bond dollars are dwindling. And that is, but they continue to make sure that all of those expenses, all of those invoices are in line with the language of the bond that the voters passed. And just super proud of all of the work that that the board has shepherded in construction over the last decade, and a lot of great things that we facilities that we've got for our students, and it's coming to an end, but something that will be celebrated for many years. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. So, item number 9.4. We're very honored to have Dr. Atlas Hilaire of Southern California ROC come in to make a presentation.
Thank you, President Liu, Vice President Han, members of the board, Dr. Stowe. Just want to say thank you for allowing me to come and share a little bit about SoCal ROC. We're right next door at 2300 Crenshaw Boulevard. SoCal ROC is a regional occupational center. We do career technical education. We were actually the first regional occupational center to be open in the state of California. We were established in 1967. According to the California Department of Education's website, they're saying that there are now 74 ROCPs, which I don't agree with that number, but it's on their website, so that's what I quoted. But when the local control funding formula came into effect, many regional occupational programs ended up closing. SoCal ROC, we are WASC accredited. We have a 6-year term, and our visit is coming up soon. There are actually two types of training centers, regional occupational centers like SoCal ROC. We are designed to serve a large area, a large region of school districts and students. Basically, the way it was created was that anyone who could get to the center would be able to take courses there. Regional occupational programs, it differs because those programs are limited to a certain district or a certain location. For instance, I'm a product of Compton Unified School District. All of the regional occupational programs that happened in Compton Unified were just limited to, if I went to Dominguez High School, so only Dominguez High School students could take the training programs that were at our school. Same thing for Compton High, but with SoCal ROC, we've had high school students from Culver City, Cerritos, and all over Southern California. We also have adults who come from as far as Riverside County to take courses, some of our medical courses. Some of the services that we provide is that we have a career guidance specialist who works with our students to help them through their pathways and to figure out what it is that they want to do when they grow up. Sometimes we have students who start taking programs because they think that they know what they want to do, but then once they get in there and get the hands-on experience, they find out that that's not for them. Our guidance specialist helps them to figure it out, either to continue on with what they want to do, or if they find out that that's not what they want to do, they help them to try to find a pathway that works for them. We provide externships for some of our programs. We have an annual scholarship, kind of put a halt to that for the last couple of years. And we call it the Night of All Stars. We typically honor and recognize a couple students from each school district with academic scholarships to continue on with their education. We provide bus transportation for all of our high school students within the JPA. And the JPA, it's 6 districts that we work with: Torrance Unified, El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Inglewood, Palos Verdes Peninsula, and Redondo Beach. We offer career preparation, i.e. resume writing workshops. We help out with mock interviews and we do job postings. And all of our training is hands-on, and our facilities are similar to what you would find in the industry. There are 5 schools within our organization, so we have courses in arts and media design, engineering and design, finance and business, health sciences, and also public and consumer services. All of our courses have to be approved by our Board of Education, and we have introductory level courses, concentrator courses, and capstone courses. And all of our courses are part of a career pathway. Many of our programs have state or national certifications, i.e. Registered dental assisting. We have certified medical assisting. We just started a new program called General Electrician, and that program is also going to be a state certified program. Students are encouraged to either go straight into the industry or to continue on in college. We don't steer them one way or the other. We encourage them to do both. We do have an annual advisory committee meeting, and that's very, very important and crucial for us. We have industry experts come in and they sit with our instructors and they give us some advice on what's coming up in the industry, what types of pieces of equipment do we need. And even if those pieces of equipment, if it's too expensive and it's not doable for us, at least we can start educating our students on what's to be expected once they get into the industry. Many of our courses are A through G approved, again, encouraging students to continue on to college. Some samples of the courses that we offer: we have 3D character design and animation, automotive, cosmetology, dental assisting, emergency medical technician. We have HVAC, we have pet health and grooming, sterile processing distribution technician, video game design, and welding. And that's just to name a few of our courses. And those courses are all available to our high school students. I gave some pictures, given some examples of what our facilities look like. Most of our art and design courses are software-based, so it's mostly computer labs. But you see the picture in the middle, we do have a creature sculpting class, and students are able to take this course. They're able to create these creatures, but later on, they can take them in the next piece of the pathway and actually animate them in a video game environment in our video game design course. In our engineering and industrial trades section, we have automotive, we have welding, we have general electrician. Again, all of our courses, our students are getting hands-on training. In our health sciences class, when you come in, if you would like to come and visit, feel free. But when you go into those classes, you'll see that our students are working in actual environments that look like the offices that they will be working on once they finish their programs. And then in our public and consumer services, we have cosmetology. It was a 1,600-hour program, but the state has now reduced it to 1,000 hours. So students are able to finish that course much faster. And right now, what we're doing, we're getting ready to start working. We want to work with the districts and the curriculum personnel because we want to work and start expanding our pathways. And we want to do that in concert with the districts and not offer competing courses. So with that, that's just a little bit about SoCal ROC. Open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Hilaire, for being here and giving us your presentation about SoCal ROC. I shall now ask if my fellow board members have any questions.
First, I want to thank you, sir, for coming this evening. For a long time, I've wanted to know more about what's happening at SoCal ROC now. It seems very different than the SCROC of when I was in high school. And so I appreciate the opportunity, you coming willing to sit in the hot seat and answer some questions from us. My first question is, goes to your presentation. There were some great classes listed. How often are these classes available for students to take? How often do they occur in your schedule?
So depending on how many hours the course is offered, we have some courses that last a semester. Some courses are 2 semesters long. And then we have some courses which are, we call them workshops. They're 9-week courses. So it just all depends on how many hours are in the course outline.
How often does it take to get to that rotation to see one of these classes again?
So for the courses that are, we say 216 hours, which is a semester for us, those are offered every semester. The courses that are 9-week long courses, they're offered every quarter. So for instance, we have the welding course. And so that course is offered, we just started in September. There's another course about to start in November. Then we'll have a course starting in February, and then one more course starting in April.
How is new curriculum and our new programs developed?
So basically, we see what's happening in the industry. Sometimes at our advisory committee meetings, if we get some information that there's this up and coming area where there's a lot of need for employees, we start developing curriculum. Most of the time, we start with the instructor. Our instructors have to have so many years in the industry before they can get a teaching credential or career technical education. So we start with the instructor who is the expert. We develop the course outline, we get it board approved, and then we advertise the course and offer it for the students.
How are your course costs determined?
So at this point, our course costs were determined by when we were taken out of the state budget back in 2015. We had a budget committee, which all of the superintendents from the JPA were involved. And it was a 1.5 year long process. And finally, one of the superintendents gave the suggestion that what we would do was take what the districts are averaging for one student for 6 periods, and they divided that cost by 6. So we came up with the number $1,234 per course.
Why, having been through the course catalog and looked over the semesters, why are TUSD students charged more than non-GIPA member students?
That's not accurate. All of the high school students who are taking courses, if they're not part of the JPA, there's a $1,500 course fee for non-JPA high school students.
That wasn't in the course catalog that I saw.
You might be referring to the adult course fee.
What have you and your staff done to learn about TUSD and the needs of the district and the students here?
Well, right now we're in some initial stages of talk. In fact, we had a conversation with Dr. Butler and Dr. Stowe recently. And so what we want to do, as I said earlier, is we want to work with the districts, and in creating or expanding pathways, we also want to talk about what makes sense or what will be best for everyone that's involved in the JPA.
How else has your leadership team collaborated with members of the JPA district?
At this point, we haven't had very much success with reaching out to various members of the JPA district to talk about curriculum. So again, with the help of our board members, who we have a representative from each district, we're going to start working on reaching out to meet with curriculum specialists and to see what we can do in order to work together.
One more question. What are your plans as far as being a leasing agent and leasing your property to entities?
Can you repeat the last piece? Leasing out the property to
other entities. What are your plans?
So at this point, we do lease to Momentum Christian Fellowship, which is a church. They come on Sundays, which is 1 day a week. And then we have Ambassador High School on the campus. As far as me as the superintendent, my plans, we're not looking to recruit people to lease space. Our focus as a staff is more so to build our programs out. We've had some recent conversations with FinPrep. This was an idea that was brought forth by one of the board members. So right now, it's just been some talks, but nothing has moved forward as far as leasing more space.
A little bit of my feedback. So in some of my communications with members of the Torrance Chamber of Commerce's Young Professionals Program, so I'd heard some of these young Torrance business entrepreneurs had at different points tried to approach SoCal ROC with ideas for coursework, and they felt that the way they related it to me was that there was some resistance on the part of SoCal ROC and some of its instructors to develop new and innovative programs for stuff that they would here in Torrance be ready to hire with just a little bit of training from SoCal ROC. So I don't know if you want to reach out and have the Torrance Chamber of Commerce and these young, they're really trying to press Torrance to think more innovative, more creatively, like multi-use spaces. Like they really have some great ideas. So I don't know if you want to reach out to them. They have some great ideas. So the other thing is you had talked about the cost structure being 1/6 of the money received by a school district. And so a school district has a lot of responsibilities for a student. It's not just the 6 classes that they have within their schedule, but there's counseling services, food services. There's a whole bunch of services that a school district has to provide. And charging 1/6 of the total income received from the state on a student seems excessive with all the other services that we had to provide. So that was a concern that I had. The other thing is, and my last point is, I know that you rent to a private school, but when I hear a desire to support and rent to charter schools who are coming from outside the city, especially in areas where Torrance Unified has surpassed the other districts in the county and who they serve, it concerns me greatly that one of, as a member of the JPA, that we would bring in competitors and people who would be pulling from the same student population in a declining enrollment state and county. And so that's another very big concern I have. So I thank you for your time and your presentation and allowing me to share some of my concerns with you.
Our next board member, Trustee Park, do you have some questions for Dr. Hilaire?
I think Dr. Gersten covered.
Anybody else have any comments? Vice President Han?
Just a quick comment for all those in the audience today. SoCal ROC is an amazing institution. I have the privilege of being on the board representing our district, Southern California Regional Occupational Center. Not every kid is on the pathway to go to college or to get a master's degree, but so often, especially in this day and age, it's important to find a job, to get a job, to get trained. And I think that it's a great way for
Quiet in the audience, please.
our students to come and learn and to be trained at a great facility. And so I just want to thank Dr. Hilaire for coming and doing a great job of being the superintendent and leading the institution. It's been a great privilege for me to get to know you and to see you operate. And again, if anybody's looking to get more information, please reach out. I think it's a great organization. I'm looking forward to seeing how Torrance Unified can partner with SoCal ROC and how we can really be a partnership rather than competitors and really helping our students navigate and finding a career path for themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Han. Dr. Hilaire, I don't see any other questions from my board. Thank you for your presentation and answering our questions.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Item number 9.5, initial proposals between the Torrance Unified School District and the Torrance Teachers Association for 2021 to 2022. Dr. Butler?
Thank you. I believe we have a speaker on this item.
Dr. Butler, you can make your presentation and then we can go to the orals through Zoom for the next speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for this particular item, you can see both proposals listed, one from TTA, Torrance Teachers Association, and the district's initial proposal as well. Both of those are provided for information to the board and the public tonight. And then at our next board meeting, we'll have a public hearing on both of those so that we can receive any input from the public as well. And then after that, we will commence negotiation.
Great, thank you.
I have Julie Schenkel on the line. Go ahead, Julie.
Hello, Ms. Finkel, you may speak.
Thank you. Good evening, President Liu, members of the board, TUSD administrators, students, teachers, and parents. I am Julie Schenkel, the chair of the Torrance Teachers Association negotiations team. I'm here tonight to speak to our initial proposal for contract reopeners for the 2021-2022 school year. Tonight, I affirm that the Torrance Teachers Association believes in the collective bargaining process and that our team comes to the table in good faith to find resolutions to issues and problems that are in our common interests to resolve for the betterment of our students and our classrooms. We will always seek ways to find movement and continue bargaining in good faith. The bargaining team, along with our TTA Board of Directors and the TTA Representative Council, are elected to represent the over 1,100 bargaining unit members of the Torrance Teachers Association. We are their exclusive bargaining agent, and we will be at the table speaking on behalf of our members collectively. In this new negotiation cycle, as we do each cycle, we bring forward legitimate issues that we have spent time collecting data from our membership through site meetings, surveys, and our representative council. It is our belief that in seeking resolution to our teachers' issues, we are doing our part to make sure our students have the public schools they deserve. We expect that we can work together for the best interest of our students, our educators, and our district. We look forward to a productive, good faith bargaining cycle as we work together in an interest-based way to resolve our issues for all of our hardworking educators and our students in classrooms that they serve. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Schenkel. Chief Mara, are there any other speakers on this agenda item?
There are none.
Thank you. We will now move on to item number 10, public hearing. 10.1, public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for 2021 to 2022. Dr. Crumpy? Do you have a presentation or we can go straight to hearing? Okay, great. This is a duly noticed public hearing for Education Code Section 60119, 1240.3 and 42605 regarding the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 2021 to 22 school year. Any interested person are now afforded the opportunity to be heard on this agenda item. Chief Mara, are there any speakers on this for this public hearing?
There are none.
Thank you, Chief Mara. I have not received any yellow cards for this agenda item. Therefore, we will go ahead and close the hearing. Since no majority protest has been filed, this hearing is now concluded and the board may consider the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for school year 2021 to 2022. Our next item is agenda item 11, oral communications on unscheduled hearings on non-agenda items. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public. Speakers wishing to address the board on non-agenda topics have completed the appropriate submission form on the district website or their yellow cards that I have received. Time allotted for public comments on non-agenda items is limited to 3 minutes per comment for a total of 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. I shall go in the order of the cards received. Our first speaker is Nicole Cizas.
Hi, first, let me apologize to you. I came to you last time out of a place of fear and anger, and I offer my sincere apology. I'm coming to you from the heart today as a mother who loves her children and doesn't want any harm to come to them. So please accept my apology for where I came from last time. I want to read a couple of stories from you. These are children. Roy, age 17, star soccer player, received his first dose of J&J August 13th. Within 1 hour of receiving the shot, Roy was vomiting and having convulsions. He had to be put in a medically induced coma. He suffered a hemorrhagic stroke and died August 17th. Isabella, age 15, received her first dose of Pfizer on August 25th. Soon after, she developed headaches and dizziness. She began bleeding from her nose and her mouth, and she died September 2nd from cardiac arrest. Ernesto, age 16, first dose of Pfizer, April 19th. 5 days later, his heart became enlarged and he collapsed and died from cardiac arrest from the vaccine. Jacob Kleineck of Michigan, age 13, died 3 days following his second dose of the Pfizer vaccine from an enlarged heart as a result of the vaccine. This breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, and it should break yours. Can you imagine these mothers? There is no reason for this mandate. There is no good reason. When I've said to you before, there is a 1 in 174,803 chance of a child in that age range dying from COVID. But there is a 1 in 1,000 chance of a child dying from the vaccine. How could I be a good mother and bet against those odds? Those are the numbers from the CDC, from VAERS. Please, please recognize that. And the fact remains that children are not dropping dead from COVID-19. Far from it. They are dying from the vaccine. And the CDC numbers and the VAERS numbers show that. And if you have children, I would hope that you would want to do anything to protect them and not give them something that has a greater chance of killing them than the actual disease. My 3 girls had COVID. One day they recovered. And now they have high antibody levels, and they would be the most protected people. They would protect all the other children more than this vaccine is going to do. 21 times more,
Thank you.
according to the Israel study.
Your minute, 3 minutes.
Please
is
don't
up.
make me
Thank you
rip my
very-
children from the Torrance
you, Ms.
schools that they
Bezos.
love, from the teachers they love.
Our next speaker is Annalisa Ruiz. Ms. Ruiz, please come up. Please be quiet and allow Ms. Ruiz to speak.
Hello, my name is Annalisa Ruiz. I am a sophomore at North High School. Today I'm speaking about the non-sustainable COVID restrictions and mandates that have been and are currently harming us. Not only is our education being compromised, but also our psychological health and physical well-being as well. This has unfortunately become a nationwide issue. However, today is focused on California specifically. It has been reported in California by multiple news sources, including ABC7.
Ms. Ruiz, please wear your mask properly. Thank you. Over your nose. Please pause the time, Dr. Gerson. There are individuals who are making outbursts from the audience, disrupting the speaker. Ms. Ruiz, can you hold on 1 second?
I've seen years worth of
If there,
suicide attempts.
Ms. Ruiz, I will give you your 3 minutes. Just hold on 1 second. There are those who are making outbursts from the audience, disrupting the speaker, disrupting this meeting. If this continues, I can declare that there is, quote, intentional conduct by these individuals in attendance, making this open session unfeasible and therefore willfully interrupting the board meeting, yelling from the audience. As authorized by the California Government Code, Brown Act 54957.9, I can direct all persons to leave this room and conduct the meeting with only the board and cabinet present. So I don't want to have to do that, but please be respectful of all speakers and this board meeting. And please let her speak so you do not interrupt the speakers. Thank you. Please start again. Feel free to go ahead, Ms. Ruiz.
Hello, my name is Annalisa Ruiz. I am a sophomore at North High School. Today I'm speaking about the nonsensical COVID restrictions and mandates that have been and are currently harming us. Not only is our education being compromised, but also our psychological health and physical well-being as well. This has unfortunately become a nationwide issue. However, today is focused on California specifically. It has been reported in California by multiple news sources, including ABC7, that during the height of the pandemic, doctors reported that they have seen years worth of suicide attempts, while other doctors reported they saw more suicide deaths than COVID in teens. Although this can be seen as an anecdotal, it is important to highlight the reality of the mental health the rules and mandates regarding COVID-19 have caused. The sense of normalcy has died and are living in what feels like a medical police state, where we are divided and taught to fear everything, giving up bodily autonomy, giving up privacy, and judge everyone's personal medical decisions. Additionally, nonsensical privileges are guaranteed to specific people. In this case, it is those who are vaccinated. A clear example of these nonsensical privileges was seen just last week during this year's homecoming. The unvaccinated had a test for COVID prior to attendance, but the vaccinated did not need to. If the sole promise of these COVID rules and to keep us safe from the virus, then why do those vaccinated have special privileges over the non-vaccinated? This is a question I ask myself every day, and this is the question that brings us all here today. We know the vaccine serves purpose of preventing the spread of COVID-19 within the lungs, but as admitted by the CDC, this does not mean the vaccine makes you fully immune to the virus. Regardless of the vaccination status, anyone could get COVID and anyone could spread it. Additionally, this overall survival rate of COVID remains very high. And in the same way, these rules and mandates are propped up by arguing that the vaccine makes it less likely that one will die from COVID. I can agree the same for the unvaccinated, especially for the vast majority of healthy children and teens. We as children and teens naturally as much of a risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19, and studies have shown that students and teachers very rarely spread COVID to each other, as highlighted in 3 studies that came from Duke University, Sweden, and Norway. Not to mention that the flu tends to negatively affect children at a higher rate than COVID has shown now. Multiple studies, including a recent study posted on the International Journal of Clinical Practice. Yet these rules and mandates were not existed even during the 2017 through 18 flu year, which was very recent, resulted in a lot of sickness and death in children and adults. Considering schools are a place for education, we should force the facts. So the question that remains today is whether or not my education, bodily autonomy, and mental health is more or less important than these nonsensical rules and mandates. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruiz. Our next speaker is Heather. Heather, if you may please come up to talk about mandates. Heather? Heather, please work. Thank you.
First, I just want to start off by welcoming any FBI agents that may be in attendance tonight. Hi, welcome. Not the best use of your time, as I'll be peacefully speaking to you today with my credentials, which are the First Amendment.
Please put the mask over your nose, please. Thank you, Heather.
How many times are we going to do this? Just wondering.
It depends on how many times.
Okay, it just slips down.
Yeah.
That's so this is kind of what I wanted to address tonight. This kind of environment that you're creating is chaotic. This is chaos. This is what's happening at our schools when our students' masks might fall down. They're getting in trouble. They're getting ridiculed. You're creating an environment.
Can you hold your mask up, please?
No.
Thank you.
So you have our children believing that their friends are diseased and that unvaccinated people are, the others and not worthy of participating in society. And you guys are responsible for that to a degree for our schools, and our other public servants are responsible for that in our community at large. And I believe this is not about safety. It's about shaming. And what happened to letting our people or our students, I try to teach my children to make good decisions. And if they don't make a good decision, then, then they have to deal with the subsequent action from that. But what's happening right now is our children are being forced to adopt the agenda of bureaucrats, council members, board members, and unfortunately their teachers as well. And that's called tyranny in most circles. I, on the other hand, and probably most of the people in this room, believe that liberty is not a figment of our imagination. I don't just throw that word around or use it as a selfish justification for my behavior or personal interests, but it's something that is fundamental aspect of my being. Liberty and my agency is a characteristic that was given to me by my God. You don't have to agree, and you have that right and that choice, just as I believe that I have a right to not believe or agree with your mandates on our children. These mandates are setting a horrible precedent that the government has the authority to tell you what to do with your body. I have no business telling someone to get an abortion or not, per se, just as I also have no business telling someone they have to get vaccinated. I can tell you what I believe regarding both of those subjects, but ultimately those decisions are a subject of bodily autonomy. And if you're excited by the notion that you can force things into other people's bodies, congratulations, you have a lot in common with sexual predators. Regarding the mandates, when it comes to the vaccine, I think that will be the final straw for many parents here. I don't know if you saw the walkout today. I don't know what your numbers were on how many students or teachers did not attend, but our crowd is getting bigger and we're not going to stop. And we've attended, and I've watched these board meetings, and unfortunately I'm well aware that you guys could care less. My mask falls down for 4 seconds and you're hissing.
Thank you, Heather, for speaking. Our next speaker is Ms. Yanis Robinson. Yes, at this meeting, you are definitely free to speak at a monitor outside, and we have prepared a monitor and a microphone for you to speak outside if you would not like it. We need you to speak at the microphone, otherwise it cannot record. Ms. Robinson, if you're not going to be using a mask, please speak outside. We can't hear you. I would very much like for you to speak, Ms. Robinson, but I can't understand you without the microphone. Ms. Robinson, are you forfeiting your turn to speak? Please go to the hallway and speak using the microphone outside. I shall move on to the next speaker if you do not follow the rules. Our next speaker is Mia. Mia is going to be talking about vaccines and mask mandates. You do understand you have 3 minutes. Have you started? Go ahead and start the clock. I need you to wear your mask or speak outside. I am going to move on. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. All right. Mia, you're next. I am sorry this person is taking up your time. Miss Robinson. Yeah. Miss Robinson, do you want to be? Please comply with the law and wear your mask, especially when you speak. Otherwise, it could be, I can declare it to be intentional conduct.
I will wear
Thank you.
I'll wear a mask for you, okay?
Thank you.
I couldn't understand you guys. I don't know who was speaking because I can't understand you guys. I can't follow through with you guys. My children, I do not want my children not knowing what's going on because they can't.
Please wear your mask. Your time is almost up.
Stand up with us. That's all we're asking for.
Our next speaker is Mia. Mia is going to talk about vaccine and mask mandates also.
Sorry. Good evening, Patriots. My name is Mia. I just wanted to remind you that God made us all perfect, so no one should be forced to wear a mask or to get a vaccine, especially in order to have the right to learn or to have a job. Thank you and keep fighting.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Mia, for your comments. And since you are underage, we greatly encourage our youth and our students to come up and speak and follow the rules. Thank you. Next speaker is Melissa Vargas. Ms. Vargas is going to talk about student health and new vaccine mandates.
Hello. I am here as a concerned mother of four, a concerned citizen, and a concerned taxpayer that our constitutional rights are being overlooked by Governor Newsom's new vaccine mandate for children. If we were really in a pandemic and state of emergency, why has there been zero transmissions of COVID-19 in our schools? Temperature checks and health questionnaires are no longer necessary. Why would there need to be any more mandates for our children? The CDC stated that the COVID-19 vaccines don't prevent transmission. An Israeli study with 2.5 million patients found that the vaccinated were 7 times more likely to get COVID than the people who got COVID naturally. If you read the vaccine inserts and FDA.gov website regarding the COVID-19 vaccines, it lists all the risks that patients have already experienced. And it is astonishing that this is something being considered to be mandated for our children who are still growing. Did you know the report shows 12 to 17-year-olds have the highest risk of myocarditis and pericarditis with the COVID-19 vaccines? The CDC report shows ages 6 to 17 years of age already at 24,349 adverse reactions to the COVID-19 vaccine. Out of that number, 153 children are now permanently disabled. 38 children have died. And this number is updated weekly. Do those children that have suffered an adverse reaction, that have died and are now permanently disabled, not matter to anyone? Since there are risks with these vaccines, there has to be a choice for our children. No one should lose their choice for health and education when we live in a country that fights for freedom. We need to stand up together. We need to stand up together for what is right. for everyone to have a choice and not to be mandated an experimental vaccine and not knowing the long-term effects that this will have in our children. So board, I ask you to please support parents and children and make a plan now for freedom of choice on this issue for our district. Every child is unique and different. We have to be the children's voices. This vaccine isn't a one-size-fits-all or immunity to this virus. The ball is in your court for the children of the city of Torrance. Otherwise, you guys will be held accountable for every child that dies or has an adverse reaction. If this is mandated for our children to go to school, we hope you support the parents on this unlawful mandate and do what's best for our children for their long-term mental, social, and physical health. Thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you, Ms. Vargas. Going in order of the cards that come in, our next speaker is Maribeth Borowski.
Good evening, school board and cabinet. The school board is fully aware of a violent incident that happened at Magruder Middle School against a teacher. Many teachers have already written letters in support of this teacher. We have also asked the school board to update the matrix so that it coincides with current laws and request that there be transparency with these changes. We ask that you protect our teachers and our right to be safe at work. And I just also want to address this mask mandate. I'm a teacher. I teach 7th grade social studies, and I've been back at school ever since we were allowed to go back in person. And the kids are learning, kids wear their masks, the kids are interacting with each other, and they're complying with the rules on the playground, in the classrooms, and there's learning occurring, and it is working just great. So I applaud all of the students that comply and wear their masks. I applaud everyone in this room that supports what the rules are and follows the rules. So thank you, board. I'm sorry that you have to put up with all of this, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Borowski. Our next speaker is Summer. Summer is going to talk about mandates. Is Summer in the room? Our next speaker's card is Summer. My last call, Summer, are you here?
Hello again. Sorry, give me 1 second to get to my notes. So I'm not going to take a lot of time tonight to tell you that you're wrong, because you already know that. And what you're doing is wrong. I've spent enough time up here wasting to tell you how bad these vaccines can be for children and masks and all of that. And the thing is that everything that you're doing is just illegal. You think that you're following some rules and you're calling them laws, but it doesn't make them laws. Forcing mask mandates, forcing discrimination of the unvaccinated and testing, you guys are breaking laws. And trust me, we're going to show you that. As you can see, our group is growing. There has to be almost 100 people here tonight. And I am so happy to see it. Betty Lou, your time is running out. You answer to us, not the other way around. And anyone on this board that wants to follow in her footsteps, your time is also running out. The parents are awake. We accept our responsibility that we let someone like you get onto this board, but we're taking that responsibility now and we're not backing down, no matter what you say. We will not stop until this mask abuse, the discrimination, and the sexualization and the racism stops in our schools.
I don't know why you want to be on that side of history, but I guess everyone has a price. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Summer. Our next speaker is Brian Chartier. Brian? Question? Oh, I read the U instead of N. Yeah. Hi, Mr. Krushian.
Good evening. Thank you for your time, and happy 581 days to slow the spread, everybody. You guys really took the new normal seriously, didn't you? I mean, how much longer are we going to dehumanize our kids? My daughter's only 6, and she's yet to have a normal school year since initially being yanked out of preschool. You guys can call it normal all you want, but this is anything but until these masks are off our kids' faces. You know, the US is one of the few countries that still does this to kids. And, you know, we're abundantly cautious about spreading COVID, a respiratory virus in schools, but yet we're shockingly lax about the potential psychological, developmental, and social harms that masking children 30+ hours a week. How does this make sense to anybody? We had to email our administrator at our girls' school 3 times because the PE teacher and the music teacher were still forcing the kids to wear masks outside during PE and music class, even if the mask fell below the nose. You know, the rule is from the CDC that the kids don't have to wear masks outside, and yet that's not happening in the schools. That should have been something that would be celebrated by all the administrators and all the teachers to finally let the kids breathe, especially and outside. But yet I see all the teachers and all the administrators still wearing them outside. And I've talked to some teachers and they said that they're encouraged to wear them outside still, which in turn gives the illusion that the kids need to wear them outside as well. That is not cool. You know, everybody always is talking up there about low enrollment, teachers that are absent constantly, having a hard time filling substitute roles, having a hard time finding custodians, people not wanting to work. Well, I'll tell you why, is because we're all sick and tired of this. We're sick and tired of the state, the county, our local city, our school board, everybody telling us what to do and what to do, especially to our children. We're sick and tired of it. And you know, the anxiety and the stress of working period before all this was one thing, but this has just compounded it to an nth degree. And just people are sick and tired of it. All we want to do is breathe at this point. So please, the time is now to fight back. Get together with our city, get together with local school, other school boards, other school districts, and fight back against Newsom. He's the only one.
That's time.
Thank you, Ms. Krushian.
He's the only one that is mandating vaccines in the entire.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Sarah Canning. Dr. Canning, will you please come up and to speak about mandates?
Hello, I'm the concerned parent of 2 Torrance Unified students. I'm here because I'm worried that our rights as parents are being infringed upon by the government of California and the US government. I'm hoping that the Torrance Unified School District will consider how many parents in this district feel and not just go along with the state's mandate to force our kids to get this unnecessary shot. You have the power to fight back. This vaccine is not without its issues. According to the CDC's VAERS system, there have been around 700,000 reports of adverse effects following the COVID vaccination. There have also been almost 15,000 deaths and over 91,000 serious injuries between December 14th, 2020 and September 10th, 2021. Not to mention the fact that this vaccine does not stop the spread of the virus. Fully vaccinated people can carry just as much virus as someone who is unvaccinated. So there is no stopping the spread here. Also, what about breakthrough cases? There have been several reports of people who are fully vaccinated and are still getting sick with COVID. The other issue here is that our kids are not at all in a high-risk group. COVID is not like the other childhood diseases where kids are particularly susceptible to illness like chickenpox. The majority of the illnesses and deaths are in people over the age of 65 who have pre-existing health conditions. This virus is not by and large killing the young and healthy. So why do our students need to be vaccinated? And if parents choose to vaccinate their child, they should certainly be free to do so. But if the vaccine works and protects those who have it, how can the unvaccinated pose any risk to the vaccinated? The majority of people who get vaccinated probably see no ill effects from it, but kids have died after receiving these vaccines, as we've already heard. And the 13-year-old boy you've already heard about, Jacob Kleinig from Michigan, who died in his sleep after receiving his second dose of Pfizer vaccine 2 days later. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. Would you be willing to take this risk with the life of your child? I am not, especially for a vaccine that seems ineffective, unnecessary, and potentially harmful. This vaccine has had more adverse effects than any other vaccine in history. I understand the motivation to just go along with all of this because many people believe this is the way to end the pandemic, but this is overly simplistic and short-sighted. Shots are not the only, and I would argue not the best path to health. A COVID vaccine will not make you healthy. Wise lifestyle choices would go farther to protecting people's health than any shot, but people don't want to talk about that. Why not limit junk food, alcohol, and tobacco? No one wants to do that, and I'm not saying we should either. But the point is, if that did happen, there'd be rioting in the streets because people would consider it an infringement on their freedom, which it would be. I'm not advocating this, but it would have a much greater impact on the health of the population than a shot for one virus. The bottom line is that the survival rate for COVID, especially for school-age children, is over 99%. This vaccine is unnecessary, and the measures taken to force people to get it are draconian and go against individual liberty. No American should be willing to sacrifice their liberty for a little potential temporary safety.
Thank you, Dr. Kenning.
We should.
Your mic is turned off. Thank you. Chief Mara, are there any speakers requesting to speak online?
Yes, I've got Lucas and Water.
How many are there?
I have 2.
The 30 minutes time is up. Does our board want to extend the time to include the 2 speakers online?
I would like to extend the time limit to have all speakers be able to speak.
I'll second that.
Great. I don't think we need a motion, but let's go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Please
Lucas,
put
go
the
ahead.
person on.
Hello,
Start,
I'm
Lucas.
a 5th grader from Lincoln Elementary. I watched some of the last meeting and I saw a parent who said he doesn't like masks. But I want to tell you that I like wearing masks. They help us stay safe. They may not be needed outside, but inside it's a good idea and I will keep wearing mine. There was also a parent upset about the COVID vaccine. I don't understand why. You should get the vaccine because there was a big drop in cases once it came out. I am looking forward to getting the vaccine when I can, but I'm not old enough yet. Thank you for letting me talk today.
Thank you very much for your comments. And since we can tell you are a child, I want to reiterate the same comments I made to the earlier student here, that we very much welcome your input and we encourage you to speak up. Our next speaker, please, Chief Mara.
Yes, we have Nicole Freeth. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. I'll be fast. I'll try and speak quickly. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm pro-parental choice and pro-medical freedom in all ways. Anti-vaxxer would suggest someone is against vaccines for everyone. I will never tell you not to get vaccinated or not to get your children vaccinated. I'm not here to invalidate your decision or tell you that you're wrong for making that decision. And I expect the same respect in return for those who have made an informed decision about their children. I wholeheartedly believe it's every parent's responsibility to do their own research and come to their own conclusions. I will share with you the numbers that have resonated with me along my research journey. As of 10/13, there were 513 reported COVID-19 deaths among children ages 0 to 17. This equates to 0.0069% death rate among this age group. Every death of a child is tragic. However, as a parent, I have to weigh the pros and cons of an illness that has a 0.0069% death rate. VAERS data, which is underreported, reflects 798,000 reports of adverse events related to the vaccine. There have been over 16,000 COVID vaccine reported deaths. These are just the ones that are reported. In the Pfizer study, 0.04% of children ages 12 to 15 suffered extremely serious adverse reactions. So my child has at least a 0.04% chance of having an extremely severe adverse reaction to an illness that children ages 0 to 17 have less than a 0.007% chance of dying from. So I ask you, why is it acceptable to you that I am being forced to vaccinate or my child won't be allowed to participate in activities and in school? The CDC director has confirmed the vaccines don't stop transmission, and the data shows that transmission rates are similar among the vaccinated and unvaccinated. Remember the thing they called No Child Left Behind? Remember all that talk about standing up against discrimination, about equity and equality? If you allow vaccine mandates to keep children out of school and take medical freedom away from parents, well, congratulations. You have just been part of allowing a new form of discrimination into your school system. This is Torrance Unified School District. This is not LAUSD, and that's why so many of us live here. The decisions you as a school board make regarding these overreaching and irresponsible mandates will go down in history as an atrocity or as a great victory for our children. I stand before you not only for my children, but for countless other families, urging you to look into the data yourself. Consider the freedom parents have to make informed decisions for their children and to continue to fight for a school system that is top rated and inclusive of all children, not just the vaccinated. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Faith. And that was our last speaker for agenda item 11, oral communications. Thank you all for participating and letting your voice be heard. We'll now move on to item number 12, discussion and action items. Chief Mara, I do not have any cards for any speakers for the items in 12. Are there any virtually?
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. Then we will go ahead and go into 12.2, approval to adopt the ESSER 3 expenditure plan. Dr. Crumpy?
Yes, thank you. Although you have technically already approved the use of the ESSER 3 funds when you approved the LCAP last June, the CDE required template was not yet released. This plan tonight almost mirrors the AB 86 plan that is adopted last May and already is in use this year. Our plan is to send ESSER monies
Quiet in the audience, please. I apologize for that disruption.
So
Dr.
as I was
Crumpy?
saying, thank you. This almost mirrors the AB 86 plan that was adopted by you last May and is already in use this year. Our plan is to spend the ESSER monies next year for the continuity of services for our students. And I would like to thank and welcome Dr. Scott McDowell that is going to speak just a little bit more briefly on this tonight.
Thank you. As Dr. Crumpy mentioned, this ESSER 3 plan is a virtual mirror of the AB 86 plan. On both plans, were approved in the LCAP in June as our goal 6. Between then and now, there were a couple of clarifications as to allowable expenses. And I just want to point out the slight difference in the plan before you now versus the plan that you approved in June. The primary difference is that we did get clarification that indirect expenses were permitted to be in this plan. So we included the indirect percentage at the allowable rate and then made some small adjustments to some of the actions in the plan. The plan is essentially, with a few small adjustments, what has already been approved. I would also like to note that because of the expiring different timelines for the monies, the AB 86 plan is for the 21-22 school year. This ESSER 3 plan, even though you're approving it now, doesn't have any expenditures going to affect until the 22-23 school year. The purpose of this is so that all of the services in AB 86 could be continued into year 2 to get a longer duration of support for student learning. And that is why they are mirrors of each other. And what this does allow you, even though you would be approving this plan this evening per LACO timelines, we will have a mid-year annual update to share with you in February, and you will be approving a 22-23 LCAP in June, where you could make adjustments to this plan at that point based on how our students are performing and our assessment of their ongoing needs. Thank you.
Could you explain indirect uses, indirect charges?
Sure. Indirect costs, when you administer grant monies, federal monies, and things like that, it produces increased time expenses for the district, significant accounting time expenses, and that is why indirect charges are permitted to be removed, to be added to the plan to allow the district to be able to provide the time required to implement these plans.
So most of this would be additional hours for staff who are either administering or planning for these different programs?
I think on that, I probably should defer to Dr. Butler to add some specifics.
So, thank you. So the question is, what specifically is our indirect cost rate?
It's the largest item on the chart, and just sort of curious what it is, because it can be a little bit big for the public perhaps.
Sure. So that is a rate that is approved, and it changes for different grants. It changes, for example, with child nutrition, they have a set rate statewide for that. But it is exactly as Dr. McDowell explained for the administration of the particular program. The only reason why it would be the largest item in this particular case is there's just no other single item that rose to the same threshold, but it certainly could be. Again, child nutrition is an example. We certainly pay a lot more for food than we do the indirect cost. So it just depends on the particular uses. Child nutrition.
Are there any other questions or comments about this? Seeing none.
Really appreciated also increased funding for translation services. I know that was a need that we had identified before, and so being able to dedicate more funds to making sure that our staff are not over there. There isn't that our supply is meeting the demand for translation services. I appreciated that.
Dr. Mohammed?
I just have one comment. I know in this plan, there's a lot of things that we are doing, whether it be programs or expanded learning opportunities or just staffing. And as these programs prove to be very successful for us and help us, obviously this is funded through one-time money. And so we would certainly need to be mindful of what programs we would perhaps want to continue adopt, or how do we continue the ones that are actually being successful when the money is not there. So that's something we should be kind of looking and planning for now. Because I know some of these things we'll get used to them, obviously, right? Especially the ones that are working.
Yes, sir. And I think that because we were able to get 2 years of continuity out of this, I think that discussion would really be part of the lead up to the 23-24 LCAP, when these monies are essentially gone, yet we then have to decide what are our top priorities with the continuing monies that we do have. And just one thing to note, the ESSER 3 monies slightly more than the AB 86 monies, and also don't include a couple of the one-time expenditures that we made in AB 86. And so you'll notice, not in this plan, because this is a LACO template, but if you think of the LCAP that you approved, that has 3 years worth of services in it. And there is some residual ESSER 3 money that is going to provide services into the 3rd year. But your point is well taken, because we are going to have to look at the entirety of support for students for the 23-24 school year.
Any further questions? Thank you very much, Dr. McDowell,
Thank you.
for your presentation.
Good.
I think we need a motion to approve.
And I will move that we approve the ESSER 3 expenditure plan.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes to approve the ESSER 3 expenditure plan. Item number 12.3, adopt resolution for textbook and instructional materials compliance and certification of provision of standards aligned instructional materials for 2021-2022 school year.
Yes,
Dr.
thank you.
Crumpy?
So annually, our Director of Curriculum establishes the sufficiency of our textbooks and reports on an annual basis to the board. So I'd like to invite Mrs. Kara Heinrich up.
Thank you, Dr. Crumpy. Good evening. I'll be brief. But as you know, every school year, we ensure students at each school site has access to the core curriculum per Williams legislation. Principals confirm their site is compliant by completing an annual attestation, and each school site this year has completed and confirmed their 21-22 textbook sufficiency affidavits.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Heinrich? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution for 12.3?
Move to adopt resolution 12.3.
Seconded.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes for 12.3. Item number 12.4, approval of the Torrance Unified School District's Governance Handbook. Attached to the agenda is the draft of this governance handbook. According to the California School Board Association, all school districts should have one, and it is used to guide the board and district on conducting our education business, our school businesses. I want to note that our board and our superintendent spend a lot of hours on this master's in governance course, and coming up and participating in a workshop to come up with this product of many hours. This is, we spend about 46 hours per person for all 5 members and the superintendent. So that counts out to be a handbook of 276 hours at least. So I just want to thank my board colleagues, Dr. Stowe, TSBA, for their participation in creating this. And if there are no comments, I can entertain a motion for approval of the governance handbook.
Move to approve 12.4 governance handbook.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We now have an official Torrance Unified School District governance handbook. Our next items are consent agenda. 13.1, approval of consent agenda as a whole. All matters listed on the consent calendar which are general functions consent through administrative services bond consent, are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one vote. There is no discussion of consent calendar items unless members of the governing board, public, or staff request that specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Does anybody want to remove any items from the consent calendar?
I'd like to remove 19.10.
Item number 19.10 is removed.
President Liu would also like to remove 18.5.
18.5. Any other requests for removal from the consent calendar? If not, we can use a motion to approve items.
I'll make the motion. I
Okay,
have a motion to approve items 14.1 to 18.4, 18.6 to 19.9, and 19.11 till the end.
Second.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I think Dr. Gerson made the motion and Dr. Muhammad made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items under consent agenda are approved. So let's go to item number 18.5. Dr. Stowe?
It'll be actually Dr. Ferris on this one.
Good evening, President Liu and members of the board. We just wanted to bring this item to your attention and make a comment for the public's sake. This is an action item for a layoff in our transportation department. We have been purchasing newer vehicles, and so the needs for mechanic services has been reduced over the last couple of years. And so we're at a point now where we basically have to recommend one position to be laid off for lack of work. We also wanted to reassure our labor partners who we have not been able to formally meet with yet over this item that we still intend to bargain the effects of this layoff and take care of the employee that's in that position.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. I understand this will be continued after this tonight. You guys will still be talking to this employee about the layoff.
Correct. And I would add that there's a 60-day notice period. So this is not a layoff that takes effect immediately. There would be 60 days from the point of this decision before the layoff would take effect.
Great, thank you, Dr. Ferris. Does anyone want to take action? Dr. Muhammad?
Just want to clarify, were we able to connect with our bargaining folks about this item in advance of scheduling it on the agenda?
Yes, so we've notified the bargaining unit of this layoff. In fact, we made contact August 25th about this item. So there's been an awareness of this item. We just have not been able to get to a table to talk about the effects, but we still completely intend to do that.
And is the employee aware about the intention of?
The employee has been informed.
Okay. Thank
Any other questions from the board? Any comments? We can have a motion if so.
you. Move to approve 18.5.
second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries in 18.5. Item number 19.10, accept gifts to the district.
Just a quick comment. I just want to thank American Honda for the PPP mask and those face shields and all the protective equipment. Again, we appreciate our partnerships with our community and continue to help us share the safety of our children at our schools. And so again, we want to acknowledge and appreciate all that you have done. And so again, we want to say thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Han. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Dr. Gerson, seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on 19.10. We're now moving on to agenda item 22, comments from members of the Board of Education. 22.1 is a report from the board representative, Southern California Regional Occupational Center. Vice President Han.
Just a quick comment. I want to thank Dr. Hilaire again for coming and presenting to our district. We have our board meeting this Thursday, and so there really are no updates. But I think in light of him coming to share, my hope is that we can, as a district, learn to figure out how we can partner with them better. I think that it's a resource that I think is great. It's right here, right behind our Torrance High School, and I think that there's got to be a way for us to figure out how can we partner better together. And I think that's my heart. I think that if we can figure that out, I think it'd be beneficial not only for our students, but for our community as well. And so I think that's one of the challenges. I know that's a huge challenge in light of the fact that we're also expanding our adult school. We're also expanding our career pathways as well. But I'm wondering, there are things that they have there that we can't, like the mechanic, the electrical, and I think that if we can figure out a pathway or game design or whatever it may be, that it will be helpful. And so that's just my heart. And I would love to see how we can make that happen.
Thank you, Vice President Han. 22.2, the SBA delegate report. Dr. Gerson, do you have any comments?
The governor signed a bunch of bills here in October, and there's two that I would like to point out. One that I've had a problem with for a long time is Senate Bill 328. This new law, in my opinion, is a prime example of how overregulated education is. Kind of a slap in the face to local control, to local school boards. It's Sacramento micromanaging education. So this bill takes away control from local school boards, basically in determining how early we can start schools. They've decided that high schools, for example, will start at 8:30. So unfortunately, the district is going to have to change times to match the state law, instead of allowing parents and teachers locally to determine what is the best time for their middle school and high schools to start. Luckily, our middle schools conform with this law, so there doesn't have to be any changes there. Assembly Bill 101. This is going to upset some members of our community, but this law will require local education agencies servicing grades 9 through 12 high schools to offer at least one semester course in ethnic studies commencing with the 2024-25 school year, and add a semester-long ethnic studies course to the statewide graduation requirement, and that commences in the 29-30 school year. Again, that's a state law that the district is going to have to comply with, and we might get blamed for that. That's my my CSBA report.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson, for the legislative update. Now we're going to 22.3, other comments from the board. I will go first to Dr. Mohammed, if there are any comments.
Thank you, President Liu. I'd just like to congratulate all of our Employee of the Years. It's always great to see that. Just congratulations to everybody and the school sites. Also, I did receive my State of Our School mailer, so it looks great. And I think it's really important for us to let our community know and let the public know of the great things that we're doing, because they're an essential part of our district. And and it's a great way for us to get our message and for them to know what's going on in our schools. So thank you so much for doing that, and I hope that continues.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Trustee Park, do you have any comments to make?
No.
Dr. Gerson, do you have any other comments?
Yes, ma'am. So each of us received a paper and an email invitation to the 43rd Annual Excellence in Arts Awards from the city's Cultural Arts Commission. I RSVP'd and attended on our behalf. Some of the award winners gave short performances. There was an instrumental presentation by Eloki Dasgupta, a dance presentation by Edward Sargsian, and Yuta Kato played the taiko drum. And as you can hear, there was great diversity in the award recipients. I should also let you know that even though all elected officials was said multiple times, everyone present and missing from city, county, and state was named, but as usual, the school board was snubbed. However, we're all used to that by now from our city. Regardless, I always loved taiko, and Glenn Kelman gave a passionate speech from New York. I'm pleased that TUSD and the city of Torrance keep the arts as a priority but our mayor indicated that the city's arts programs could suffer from pending budget cuts unless their sales tax measure passes. I didn't realize that in 4 years, our city had used up almost 50 million of its reserves. As much as some of us didn't like what the school board members that we replaced had done, they did keep TUSD's budget very healthy. And with the work of Dr. Butler, I trust that this incarnation of the school board will also ensure that TUSD maintains a healthy budget and will continue to support the arts. I did want to make a comment to Ms. Quintero. So first, thank you. As Dr. Egan said, you've set a really high bar for future students. You have been the most participative, the most prepared of all the student board members. I hope you can mentor some of the young leaders at North High so that when they take your spot next year or the year after, that they perform as admirably as you did. And you can tell them how to use these microphones too. Just one more comment. Some of my best inspirations have come from my students. In this role on school board, I've talked about two huge inspirations that came from different groups of West High students. In my classroom today, one of my high school students really captured my attention with a passionate opinion because of how many teenagers he knows of who had to circumvent and in some cases lied to their own parents to protect their own bodies and get vaccinated. This is more common than I imagined. I had no idea. And it really hurt me this evening to hear a group of parents criticizing the young child who spoke to us via the internet, expressing an opinion when another girl in the audience about the same age did the same thing. But, they cheered for the one that supported their view and were calling out that the other one had been mentally manipulated. We all have an impact on our children at home and at school. And so, my student George, who, really inspired me with what he said. And so the last time that we had protesters here, I talked about the chickenpox and shingles virus and misconceptions that we had about them when I was a child. And so this time, I was thinking about the human papilloma virus. It's usually acquired during high school or in early adulthood. Apparently, young, healthy teens do not suffer any symptoms from the virus until decades later when the festering virus becomes a cancer. In the United States alone, there are 36,000 people a year diagnosed with a cancer that is directly attributable to HPV. It's just another little virus that doesn't seem to hurt young people until decades later when they're adults. And I just don't think that the conversation about masks, vaccines, and tests can be complete without conversations about viruses. COVID-19 is a virus, and viruses can be dangerous now or decades after the initial infection. And so I don't think we spend enough time talking about viruses, understanding viruses, and knowing that we don't know 30 years from now what this particular virus does. But I think it needs to be a part of the conversation. I've always subscribed to preventive medicine. I picked a great doctor. I trust my doctor. I go visit him regularly. And so I just want to make sure that the conversation includes, learning about viruses and understanding how dangerous and deadly they can be and that we understand them and that that's also a part of the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gerson. Vice President Han, do you have any other comments?
Just a couple. Again, I want to congratulate all our, like Dr. Muhammad said, all of our Employee of the Year recipients. It's always a wonderful opportunity to celebrate them and to see how wonderful people that serve our district. Again, we're so grateful for every single one of them. Also, I want to thank our student representative from North High. Thank you for setting up the standard high. Now my son is messed up because he's got to come after you. And so I'm gonna go home today and say you're in trouble. You're done. You're gonna look kind of funny now, but it's okay. It's okay. But again, thank you. And I think that tonight you saw a little bit about discourse, and I hope that it wouldn't discourage you to be engaged and to discuss these things, but to be more passionate, to be able to speak and to conduct yourself in a way that will truly invite discussion and to come to resolution and to learn to discuss. I think that's the key. I think that you saw what it is. This is probably one of the more crazy ones that you've been into. But again, I hope that it will be a challenge for you and that you would really strive to make our community and our world better. You're the next generation. And so we look for, and I think that, you know what, we're in good hands. If you're an example of what our generation looks like in the future, I'm confident. You're only a junior, if I'm correct, right? And so it's like, wow, my son's really in trouble now. I'm telling you, it's just no bueno there. But again, thank you for coming and really setting that standard for all of us. And I think that one of the things that, again, in our last board meeting, this is precisely the reason why I stayed in my position on the vaccine mandate itself. As soon as Governor Newsom made that mandate, I knew that there was going to be strong and polarized opinions and differences. But again, I think that my hope is for all the audience is that to learn to be civil with one another, whether you agree with them or disagree. We all have our own opinion. I know we're all passionate about our opinions. Even on our school board, we have 5 people here who disagree. But yet at the same time, we're civil with one another. Even though we may disagree, we may not get the outcome that we want, we come united together because ultimately we are looking out for the best interests of our students. I want our community to know that even though we may disagree, to attack a person's character and just because they hold on the position, it's kind of bothersome to me because you don't know what they do for your students. They really do look out for the best interest. All of us look out for the best interest of your students. You just may not agree with our approach, but I hope that you will never question the integrity or the heart of the fellow board members that I serve with regarding these matters, because I really do respect every single one for their effort, for their wisdom, and for their insight and for their passion to serve our community. And today, you know, I appreciate everyone that came and spoke. Again, this is your right. And I think it's very important for people to hear your opinion. I just pray that you would afford that courtesy to be able to listen as well. Again, for me, I want to state again, I am pro-vaccine. My family's been vaccinated. My family had COVID, and I get it. But that's a choice that I made. Again, I feel uncomfortable mandating it for our students. Again, this has not been done yet. I'm still praying and hoping that it will not come to that coming next year. Things are getting better. And that's why I think that by wearing masks, it does help. I think it does help. And so hopefully by doing that, we won't have to come to that point. And I hope that we will all learn to respect one another regarding that. And I think that that's what's important here, that we learn to respect everyone's differing opinions regarding this. Again, it's highly volatile, it's highly political, it's highly divided. But I hope that we will come together as a community to talk, to discuss, and to share, and to make best decisions, what's best for our families as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Han. Now it's my turn for my orals. I do not have any classified personnel anniversaries to announce. However, I would like to point out several resolutions that were approved tonight. We approve them for a reason, and I want to highlight some of them. One is a resolution in support of Red Ribbon Week for October 25th to 29th. It is also, this is an effort to encourage our youth to live drug-free lives. We also adopted a resolution proclaiming November 7th to 13th as California Retired Teachers Week. We are there so that we can spotlight, we did this because so we can spotlight their members' own, the retired teachers' extensive volunteerism, and also to encourage other retired teachers to do the same. Item 14.6 is proclaiming November 8th to 12th as School Psychology Awareness Week. This is to honor the outstanding dedication and service of professional school psychologists. And especially at a time like this when we had a lot of students have been affected by COVID-19. 14.7 is a resolution proclaiming November as Homeless Youth Awareness Month. And I want to point out that the Torrance Council PTA, under the leadership of the Chair Denise Spellman, organized a large costume donation drive for members of the community to purchase different costumes for these homeless and foster students. I myself bought several costumes, and I noticed on the sign-up sheet that there are many other community members, especially the PTA volunteers, PTA board members, along with Dr. Katie Crumpy, our executive assistant, Shelley Morse, and even the First Lady of Torrance, Carrie Fury, had all participated in purchasing these costumes. I want to commend all of them for doing that. And we also adopted a resolution proclaiming November as the California Sikh American Awareness and Appreciation Month, along with a resolution proclaiming November also to be Native American Heritage Month. I want to spotlight them and encourage our schools to support the awareness and of the contributions that many different ethnic communities have contributed to our country. And that is it to my oral communications. We will miss you, Ms. Cotero, but like I said earlier, best luck for all, and don't be a stranger. You can call up any one of us here if we can be of help. All right, I can use a motion for adjournment. Yes, of course, Ms. Cotero. Please go ahead and make a.
Can you hear me? Okay. This has been like the issue the past 2 meetings, being able to hear me. But I just wanted to give a genuine thank you to all the members, especially Dr. Stone, Dr. Egan, for helping me be prepared for all these meetings and just being there to support me. I think I really do appreciate that you are emphasizing the student voice, especially in these meetings, because being here and being able to see the process, I never really understood like the process of how things are made through the school board. So being here has really opened my eyes to like government and just every process. Like I really do appreciate all of this, and I wanted to applaud every member for being able to act with such patience and all of this. Like I don't know if I could do that honestly, but you guys are doing an amazing job, and I just wanted to say I appreciate everything that you do for every student. And I know the means of getting there can be conflicting for different parties, but I think the important thing is finding something that is good for the welfare of all students. And that is the main message that you guys exert. And I really do applaud that. So thank you. And I really do appreciate being here.
Ms. Cotero, and of course, look at her. Another eloquent speaker that you are. Thank you. I can use a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries.